I have to go pull your questions up.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There we go. Hold on. Oh, man. Ba, 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 ba. Amanda has a question. What is the most up to date and appropriate way to store your breast milk, including the use of a traditional freezer or deep freezer? Also, the length of time breast milk can be frozen, length of time in the refrigerator after thawing out, and length of time it's good for if pumped fresh.
There's so many different things out there that you'll see about breast milk and storage times and whether how long can you leave it out when it's fresh, how long can it sit in the freezer, what kind of freezer. Main reason that you're going to see so many conflicting times is because there's not a lot of research. They've not done a lot of research to say this is exactly the right time. This is the right thing. Mostly what you see out there is going to give you the safe answer, and probably you could even go longer than that. Breast milk is so stable, and it is very hard to make it go bad. So always err on the side that it's probably okay, and do your best to stick within the guidelines. It could sit out for quite a long time, up anywhere from 4 to 8 hours at room temperature. And why there's a range there is depending on the temperature in the room. Obviously, when the temperature is higher in the room, if you're living in a really hot climate and it's warm, you want to not keep it out as long. If the temperature is really cool in the room, it can actually stay longer. And I remember just when I was pumping in the middle, there were times when I'd pump in the middle of the night and it was cool in the room. I could just leave the milk right there on the night table and not have to run it down to the refrigerator or store it right away. It could sit for hours until then. And then same thing if you're going to be feeding your baby that pumped milk within a few hours, probably best to just keep it out. Once it goes into the refrigerator, it can be anywhere from like 3 to 8 days, 4 to 8 days. Again, these are the timings of the range. The safest, most conservative would be 3 days. Most likely, it's going to be fine even after a week. Okay, so that's the range, and you're going to kind of judge that for yourself. And this is all timings for healthy full-term babies as well. I think that's really important to make note of, because we're not talking about premature or sick babies. And if that's the case, you want to speak to the NICU where the baby is. If you're storing or bringing milk to the NICU, talk to the nurses in the NICU to ask them about appropriate storage. This would be for full-term healthy babies. Okay. And then when you're freezing, you can freeze the milk. We're talking about, I wouldn't put milk into one of the, the freezers that are connected with the refrigerator. I would probably make sure that you have a separate compartment. I mean, there's the older style freezers where they're inside the refrigerator, or the little refrigerators that you have. That's probably not going to be the best way to do it. But if you have a separate freezer compartment in your freezer, putting it in there for anywhere from 3 to 4 months, even up to 6 months would be fine. Put it in the back of the freezer so that as you're opening and closing the door, it's not getting any warm air or defrosting. And then if you have a deep freezer, milk can really be stored for up to a year. And again, probably even longer. We've kept things in the freezer longer than that. It's just more on the safe side.
I remember the first time I heard that you could freeze breast milk for a year in the deep freezer, and I was just like, what?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I'd like to just say one more thing about that when it comes to storage. The idea that you have to freeze a ton of milk, you don't. And I think that if you have a lot of milk and you're having no issues, and even if you're storing, for donation, great. But this idea, I just feel so bad sometimes when I see moms posting about all their freezer stash and all this milk that they pumped, and how it can make other moms feel who are like, I don't have any extra. My baby nurses all the time. I don't know if any of you guys are experiencing that, but you're like, okay, how do I store this extra milk when the baby's always eating? It's because you don't really need to have that much extra unless you're going back to work, and then it's a little bit of a different conversation about how much do you actually need, but it's still not a ton. You don't need a freezer full.
I'm going to take one of the questions out of the comments just because she's here. Christine Hacker. How do you go about night weaning a toddler who isn't ready? My daughter is 20 months and only nurses at night, but wants to nurse most of the night. I need my sleep back. I want to have her completely weaned by 2, but she's
Mm-hmm.
just not ready.
Mm-hmm. It's so hard because if you've been nursing at night and the baby's used to sleeping with you, there's two parts to this. I mean, this is my opinion about it. Obviously, if the baby's not ready and you're saying that, maybe the baby's just not ready. They're little for such a short period of time, and I know how hard it is to be awakened at night and all those other things. But if you feel like she's not ready, maybe it's not time. The other thing I would say is it's really hard to wean a toddler from night nursing when you're sleeping together. I just find that impossible. So it may be that the conversation is how do we start weaning her to her own bed versus how do we start weaning her off the breast. I think those two things will go hand in hand. And if you could start to follow a process of getting her into her own bed, whether that's on a bed on a mattress next to you or in her own room, that may be easier than trying to get her to stop nursing when she's right next to you. That's going to be hard. And that's where a partner can really help too and come in handy. That a partner preferably that doesn't have lactating breasts, all right, because that child will go for it. So it's easier if you can try to start weaning from the bed versus weaning at night from the breast, if that makes sense. I hope that helps. It's not
Yeah.
an easy process. Weaning is a process. Like it's not a one shot deal. It's not a time limit or you have a deadline. You may have that deadline and you work towards it, but it definitely needs to be a process and it takes time to do
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep reading stuff. So we're going to go back to the submitted questions because there are actually a handful. And if you do have questions, leave them in the comments. And I'm very distracted during these because I'm reading off of like several devices for questions.
Mm-hmm.
But just leave your question in the comments, and I'll do my best to like keep track of everything. Amy has a question. What is your best tip for a soon-to-be breastfeeding mother? I really want this to go as smoothly as possible. I am almost 36 weeks. I will speak for myself right now because I don't often answer these, and I would say education
Mm-hmm. It's true.
first and foremost.
It's true.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into this unprepared. I mean, I think that when it comes to breastfeeding, probably the most important thing you could do while you're expecting is learn what you learn, get educated, become knowledgeable,
Mhm.
understand what your own breastfeeding goals are, at least for the beginning, and find a teacher or a mentor who you can refer to because there is so much information out there. And so many people, like I said, they just wait until they have the baby and think, okay, well, the nurses will just help me once I deliver. And that may be the case. You may be in a hospital, or you may have a midwife, or you may have someone or a doula who's going to really help you. But having that knowledge yourself beforehand, even about the basics of breastfeeding, just some of the things we're even talking about today, the most basic conversations that I find so many women just are like, even if they've breastfed, that they're like shocked at some of the things I say that are just basic lactation physiology. And knowing that will help you make the right choices in the right moment. And that starts right at birth. Having that skin to skin right at birth, knowing the process of that first hour and how important it is, what to do if your baby has any kind of complications or needs to be separated from you, if you needed to pump for this. All those things are going to be important to know beforehand so that you're ready for it. You don't want to go into this blindly. Breastfeeding, although it's natural, it's not usually easy. And I find that the reason it's not easy is people don't have a lot of knowledge or don't have the right support around them, or they're getting too much input of the wrong information, even from their medical providers. So all those mixed together creates this terrible storm sometimes that
Yeah.
can lead you down the wrong path. I would say I'm going to tell you about I just launched my platform, and Jamie knows how long I've been trying to put together my video library, and it is actually completed and it is available. And that means that you can go and watch the Simply Breastfeeding course. There's all kinds of courses on there. I've got every video that I've ever done and we've ever done together all into an index library now that you can search through, so that just like we were watching this Q&A right here, I think we have like 40 more like this that just you and I did, right? And they're all time coded, which means that if you wanted to learn about a particular topic, you could just put it into the search and it will come up. And it's a subscription. It's really, you can sign up for 1 month and just go to town, but it's really going to give you the information that you need. Can I screen share really quick? Just because
Yeah,
I want
of
to
course.
show you my skills here anyway. Hold on. Watch this. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can do this. Here it is. Okay, this is the video library. And what this is doing here, I'm going to just scroll through. Hold on a second. This is how it'll look for you when you come here, and you can see all the different courses. So they're simply breastfeeding, and that's the one that I recommend definitely watching before your baby's born. I have courses on breast pumps and pumping courses and low milk supply courses and all the other things. But then we have every single lesson, episode, live stream. These are all Jamie and mine are Amazon Lives, all the Q&As, and the entire thing is in a searchable library. So if you want to watch more of like what you're watching right now, you can actually watch all of my episodes with Jamie here, and you can search particular topics to find where we spoke about something in any particular episode. This will give you so much valuable, it's such a valuable resource, and it's taken me a long time.
You can
to
get
put it
all your
together.
questions about lipase answered in one place.
What did you say?
You can get all your questions about lipase answered.
All your questions about lipase. Yes, there is definitely a search here, and it's really going to help. I mean, like there's lessons. So again, this is all, you could sign up for one price, 1 month, and get access to everything. It's $29 for the month, and you'll get access for everything. So I'm really excited to have that for you. And more than anything, it's more about the fact that I know that we have provided such good information over the years from the different interviews I've done, different topics, our Q&As, right? We need a way for people to access it so that we can answer those questions even when I can't be live with you or Jamie can't be live with you.
Yep, very true, very true.
Yeah, in the link today, when you sign up to do the giveaway, there'll be a link. So if you want to go see it, there'll be a link so you can go see it.
Awesome. I keep like going back and forth with questions. Janine has a question. How do I know if my baby had enough when breastfeeding? Is it normal for babies to fall asleep and be lethargic when breastfeeding versus pumping?
Oh, yeah. So so it can be knowing how much or knowing that they got enough when breastfeeding is not a matter of time, right? So you can't like watch the clock. Your breast doesn't have like a little gauge on it that tells you, okay, now a number of ounces went in. And even if it did, is that enough, right? Each baby's different. The breast milk is different depending on the time of day or the week or the month. So the best way to know that your baby's got enough is to look at what's coming out. All right. There are signs of knowing your baby got enough. And that has to do with, one, you want to make sure that you can hear the baby swallowing when they're eating. You want to make sure that you can, mainly it's what's coming out. You're measuring the amount that's coming out, and you're watching for their wet and their poopy diapers. As long as you're getting 6 to 8 wet diapers and several poop diapers a day in the beginning, and I'm talking about in the beginning, then you can really base that on knowing that your baby's getting enough and that their weight is starting to slowly go up. Babies will fall asleep when they're nursing. And it's normal for that to happen, especially in the newborn phase or in those first early weeks. They get very sleepy. Trying to keep them awake can sometimes be challenging, but they're also meant to eat in these little clusters and to eat in small quantities. Their stomachs are small. And so the milk could come out pretty quickly, and 1 ounce could be enough for a newborn or, a couple week older. And so it's not going to take that long for them to get full and then want to eat again. And that's normal. I would say that nursing on demand, allowing the baby in those there really doesn't need to be, and we really shouldn't be putting any time limits or schedules on little tiny babies.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, that was actually when Brian and Amy had their first, and she is now 28 weeks, 29 weeks with her second, which is
I didn't
crazy.
know. Awesome. Yeah.
it's gone so quickly, this second pregnancy.
Amazing.
It like
Yeah, it does.
quickly under quarantine.
Uh-huh.
But I remember I went to go see Amy the day after Dean was born, and like they had the pump. She watched all your classes and everything, obviously.
Yep.
But the nurse came in and she was like, "All right, we need to time your nursing. Are you doing 30 minutes and 30 minutes?" Amy's like, "I got it, no problem." The nurse, she looked at me and she said, "Before you say anything, I know not to time my nursing sessions. I watch Shari's videos. Thank
There
you."
you go. There you go. And look, it is such a perfect example of, and I love that. I mean, I've got goosebumps. It makes me so happy to know that, it's like empowering moms and dads, and that it's working, right?
Brian and Amy, they both swear by your class. They were like, this saved, like, they didn't have to work with a lactation consultant because they watched your video.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I've been teaching moms and dads breastfeeding for, I don't know, how long has it been now? It's been 16 years, right? And I used to do it live in my store. That's where Jamie and I met. I had a big retail store and learning center, and I was teaching live classes. And, I filmed the course because so many people really had so much success. I mean, my moms were breastfeeding at rates that were like off the charts, and enjoying it and really going through the whole process so much easier. And it was like, okay, how do I get this out to people who can't come to New Jersey and be in my course? So we originally filmed it, and this, actually, the one that I have up as part of the library now, is actually the 4th edition of the course, and it was the one I filmed last summer. Things change over time, and it had been like 10 years since I last filmed it, and the one that I did that's up now is a brand new version with all the new research and all the new things that needed to be added in. I have to say, it's probably my best work ever, and I'm so happy that it's available for people to use, because more than anything, it's going to help you breastfeed and answer questions, and really, and like you're saying, like, they felt confident, give you the confidence.
Brittany has a question, and because she's here with an 8-day-old, congrats. My newborn is 8 days old. We are already cluster feeding. How do I get rid of a clogged duct quickly?
Yeah. Massage, heat, and nursing. Okay. Those are like your top 3 things that you want to do. And, make sure that you get right on it. So if you're feeling that clog, I don't know where it is. Maybe you could put it here in the chat. If it's in the nipple, is it in the breast? What's happening with the clog? Because it's a little bit of a different answer depending on whether it's actually in your nipple. But if you're feeling a lump in the breast somewhere and that's how you think you have the clog, what I recommend is getting some moist heat, so like a hot compress, like a washcloth, putting it onto the clog, onto the plug. And then when the baby's on or latched, or you're pumping, so you're extracting milk at the same time, massage it pretty firmly in a circular motion so that you can get it to unclog. Usually while you're nursing, that's going to be the best time. But stay on it. Don't forget about it. You got to keep going, because what a clog is it's a blockage, of where the milk is not passing through. And if it stays like that, think about the milk behind that clog is accumulating and not releasing. And so it's going to, one, fill up more, make the breast more engorged and full. It can cause mastitis from that extra pressure of the milk building up. It can cause an inflammation of that breast tissue. You can get pretty sick when you have mastitis, so you want to avoid that, and the plug can cause it. And it also, because we know that when your breast is full, it's telling your brain to make less. This is a very important concept that I go over in my course, When your breast is full from either not being able to empty or drain it properly, or waiting too long between feedings, or having a latch that's not working, or the milk is actually coming out, it tells your body to make less milk. Your body's getting the signal, oh, you don't need that much. And so you actually start to decrease your supply, all right? So they can have other consequences beyond the plug, and it's why it's so important to pay attention and do something about it. If you're keeping your breast empty all the time, like what happens when I see you guys writing here, cluster feeding and feeding frequently, and all those signals of emptying the breast frequently tell your body to make more. So it's the opposite of what you think, right? When I feel full, I need to get empty. emptying the breast is going to help you to produce milk. Okay, so what is she saying here as far as where the clog
She
is?
says that she's tender sore but not red yet.
Okay, it's you don't want to wait for it to be red. Red means
No.
inflammation. Red means that the breast tissue is starting to get inflamed, and that's the direction towards a mastitis. So,
Then you get the boob flu.
yeah, warm
Boob
compresses,
flu.
massage, frequent emptying, nursing, pumping, and then you can also use like a massager or a vibrator on it that can actually help to break up the clog as well. They actually make ones that are just for nursing. But
Amanda Gonzo actually has a related question. What is your opinion on those vibrating massagers for your breast? Are they good and
um,
are they worth it?
I think that you can do it with massage itself, but if you find that you're getting a lot of clogs, and some people do have more like a propensity to have more plugged ducts. It has to do with the viscosity of your milk, meaning that it actually solidifies easier, and there are some supplements that you could use for that too. Sunflower lecithin is one of them, but you want to talk to a lactation consultant or really get some support with that. If you're having multiple plugged ducts and then mastitis, the massager can help with that. Again, it's just one more piece of equipment that you might not need if you can just deal with it with massage and nursing and warm water. I don't think they hurt. They don't hurt, and I've never used it, but I've heard people say that it works. So.
Have you seen the, I'm gonna mispronounce it, it's the Lilu
Yes.
massaging bra for pumping?
Yes, I have. I saw it at one of the shows that we were at. I can't remember which one it
Okay.
was. I did see it. I like the ideas. The idea is great. Like the thought of it is great. And massage, not just for plugged ducts, but like for nursing, for pumping. So like in that case, they're using it to make pumping more effective, right? And get the milk out more efficiently. You know, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on any of these products because obviously women are unique and different sizes, and everybody responds to something differently. And just like with breast pumps, you'll have some people really respond well to a machine like a pump and others that just really have a hard time letting down. This is a hormonal experience. Okay. To get milk to come out of the breast, we need to stimulate oxytocin, and sometimes a breast pump, a vibrating massager, a bra that you're sticking yourself into that's going to massage your breast could actually not relax you enough to get that oxytocin release and be completely counterproductive to everything you're trying to do. So I'm going to say that I have high hopes for some of these things that are going to help moms to make pumping easier, but I don't know that it would be like necessarily needs to be on your registry list right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
A friend of mine runs their social media, so if you want one, I'll see if they'll send one out.
Yeah.
Just to play
I'd
with.
like to. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it again because they're always improving
Yeah.
these things, and I'd like to see what they've got. I think that anything we can do to make breastfeeding easier for moms, I love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I want to show you. I am adding the first My Baby Experts product to my company. You want to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Hey Joe, will you bring me the wedge? It's the first My Baby Experts, and this is one of those products that I just love. That I've used it for years. Like it was one of those first. Like it was in my consultation office years ago in my practice. You know what I mean? Like sitting there. Here, these are the wedges. So these are nursing wedges. See this? They come in different sizes. It's a little wedge that for anyone who has to hold their breast to breastfeed, if some people do fine just putting the baby there, but others feel like they need to hold the breast while they're nursing to get the baby to have a good latch and get the nipple in the right position. This actually is something that can go under the breast and lift the breast while you're nursing, and it stays there if I didn't have my shirt on, which I'm not going to do. But it provides you with a hands-free experience, and I've seen this help moms so much to get the right latch, to be able to let go of their breast so they're not getting that carpal tunnel of holding their hand in the same position.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed somebody, I don't know who it was in the chat a few minutes ago, was talking about twins and twin nursing.
Yeah.
And this is great for twins because especially as you're trying to like prop up your breasts and get one baby latched while you're working with the other, these work great for that. So these are nursing wedges. Yep. And so here, I'll show you the size because they're asking about the sizes here. What's the name of the brand? The name of the brand is My Baby Expert. So these are only sold through me. Okay, that's what we're doing here. So that's the large. This is the extra large. That's the large. That's the medium. And then that's the small. Okay. Oh, got it in the right set. Okay. When you click over to enter for the giveaway, you can also get information about the wedge, and you can also message me and we'll send you information so you can purchase it if you want. Yeah, she uses, Claudia's saying here, I had to use a small towel to put under. You will love this. I'm telling you, I had these in the room because so many moms would come in with breastfeeding issues, especially in the beginning, and they needed that extra support to get the nipple straight out in the right position, especially with very large breasts. It really helps. And there's nothing out there like it. It was just one of those genius things that I saw, and I'm like, that's like one of the best things I've ever seen. So simple.
Yeah. Yep. It's a little wedge.
You need a wedge. They're called nursing wedges.
Stephanie has a question. Any advice on thrush? We have both been on medicine for 11 days. Can I freeze milk? Can I freeze pumped milk during thrush? Any tips for raw nipples from bad latch/thrush?
Yeah. So thrush can cause you to have a lot of pain. That's what she's describing. What thrush is a yeast infection in the breast and or also in the nipple or on the nipple. And so it can cause really painful, sore, red nipples that have nothing to do with like when the baby's nursing. It's the pain typically happens in between feedings, and you'll feel it like a sharp shooting pain through the breast or very sore, tender nipples. I would recommend from her question that she does not store and freeze her milk while she's treating the thrush, because it'll come back. It's in the milk at that point. And so I wouldn't store milk, or if you do, you're going to have to just toss it or use it for a milk bath or something else. Don't feed it to the baby. And make sure the baby's being treated as well. If there's any thrush in the mouth, you're going to just keep giving it back and forth to each other. So yeah, it can be hard to get rid of. Thrush typically happens from antibiotic use, either during pregnancy or in labor. Lots of moms, if they're group E strep positive, or they've had, prolonged rupture of membranes, or they had a C-section. There's different reasons why you may be getting antibiotics during your labor, and that can actually lead to yeast infections, just the way we would get a regular vaginal yeast infection. This can happen in the breast. And so it needs to be treated appropriately too. I would definitely speak to a lactation consultant. Many times the OBs don't really treat it properly, because you really need a long course of therapy with this to really get rid of it. It could be hard. I have a whole webinar in my library on plugged ducts, mastitis, and yeast, going through the protocols, going through the identification of being able to know what it is, and then really, really treat it and what you need to know about it. But both you and the baby need to be treated. But don't save milk. You'll have to get rid of it. You won't want to use it. You won't want to give it back to yourself once it's treated. So
that does not sound pleasant, and I am sorry you have it.
My video just got. Oh, there it is. Okay. Came out. I'm like, is that my video out of focus, or is my contacts? I couldn't tell. All of a sudden, I couldn't see myself.
It's Friday. We don't know anymore. We truly don't know anymore.
Oh my God. But listen, hey, our stream is working well. I'm going to just say,
the stream is working.
I'm happy. This is working.
Living life. When we're done here, I have my 2 quarantine friends, and I'm joking. We are getting in a car, and we're just going to drive to the mountains and look around and come home, just to get me out of the house.
Well, and you've got some view. So yeah, I don't blame you. Hey, listen, I want to just...
Thank God I have windows.
I want to just tell Audrey, put the website there for everybody, because if they want to get the wedge or go to the library, if they're not using Messenger and they can't get into the giveaway, I want to make sure they still have access. So it's just mybabyexperts.com. You'll be able to access the library, and message us. You could send us a message if you're interested in the wedge too. We'll have that up on the website probably this week. So
Amanda has a question. And, oh, hold on. Does slow weight gain mean low supply? Baby was born at 36 weeks, took a month to get back to birth weight. He's almost 5 months, and at his 4 month appointment, he was in 1% in weight according to his pediatrician. She said to mix baby cereal with milk to up his weight, but I would rather not go that route.
You're very smart. What's her name?
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
Amanda Barnett.
Amanda. Follow your mommy instincts. I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, inaccurate, wrong information. Mix cereal into the bottle. Is that what she was told?
Mix baby cereal with the milk. So not if I don't know if that necessarily means like into the bottle, but
Okay,
like
well,
as like a
hopefully not, because you never put anything
no.
into the bottle. That's a choking hazard. Okay, so we're never going to put any kind of cereal into a baby bottle at all, but we're also not going to use baby cereal to fatten up babies, especially preterm babies that are just at 1% on the growth chart. That means that it's normal. 1% means normal. It means on the growth chart. And on top of that, is she adjusting for 4 weeks adjusted age? Okay, this child was born early, and babies can be small. It's more about the progress that they're making. Are they continually growing, even if if they're growing slowly, but they're consistently gaining weight, and also looking at other things too. Are they reaching their developmental milestones? Are they growing in length? Is their head circumference growing? Like, there's so many more things than just looking at plotting it on a chart, their weight on a chart. And I see this so often with pediatricians, really judging everything based on how much is that baby gaining. And breastfed babies can grow at varying rates. Sometimes they go a lot in 1 week, they have growth spurts, and then other weeks they don't grow at all. You want to be looking over the course of a month and looking at an average weight over the course of a month. And it's a lot less than if they're formula fed. So I just want to really make sure that here's my best recommendation. Switch pediatricians, get a different doctor, find somebody you trust. You shouldn't have to be making these decisions yourself, although you want to just monitor what's being told. You want to make one of the most important things you can do as a breastfeeding mom, or any mom, but especially if you're breastfeeding, is to find a pediatrician that is supportive and knowledgeable about breastfeeding. And when I say supportive, if they're not an IBCLC themselves, then a supportive pediatrician refers you to one if there's any question about weight or eating or breastfeeding or anything, okay? That's what should be happening. Before telling you to go feed your 4-month-old or 5-month-old cereal to fatten them up, okay, they should be recommending you, if they have any concern, get a lactation consultant.
Yeah.
That's a good
Specifically dealing with children, it's like, what I've learned over the years doing all this is a lactation consultant knows a very different thing than a pediatrician knows, than a dietitian knows, than a speech language pathologist knows,
right,
than an OT knows. Like, everybody has like their own lane, and you can have like a greater umbrella of knowledge. Like, a dietitian doesn't necessarily deal with feeding issues.
Well, that's exactly right, Jamie. And think about, there is no other, with the exception of maybe like when you're seeing your OB or midwife and you're pregnant, they're kind of dealing with two lives, together, and the dyad, right? What we would consider the dyad of the mom and baby together. But when we talk about anything else in medicine, when it comes to, like, we could look at the pediatrician's dealing with the baby and the baby's weight, right? They're not dealing with your milk supply and what may be causing, if there really is an issue with the weight, what's going on with your breastfeeding, what's going on. It's both interacting. And so a lactation consultant, we're actually taking care of the two together. It's where they intersect, right? It's actually taking care of the mom and the baby at the same time. And that's the only person who's going to really be qualified to make the right determination. Sometimes weight gain, like, this is a great example, if the baby was gaining too slowly, and I've had patients, where the baby truly, I'm seeing them and I'm like, you know what? They're not gaining weight. They're kind of like staying the same, but we need to see them start growing, right? You would immediately jump to the conclusion that maybe you don't have enough milk, There's a low milk supply, which may not be the case at all. It could be that you have plenty of milk and that for some reason the calories in the milk, in your milk, is not enough to get your baby to grow. And that could be a temporary situation. It could be caused by an oversupply that could cause your baby to not be gaining enough if you're getting a lot of the for milk from a very, very full breast. Okay, so we've got to take two things into account here. It cannot be just looking at their weight and saying, go feed them cereal. It just makes me angry.
No. And cereal, I mean, we used to get on some tangents in here, and cereal, milk.
No, you and I on tangents? Never. 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 Like if you want some entertainment, go watch the library and just go watch some of the. We have to actually go back and watch some because I'm gonna just crack up. I know we've had some moments.
Tangents. Just because she's in the chat, Jessica, any tips for moms being harassed that have to pump during work? General management and HR have been spoken with.
Yeah, this is the law. I mean, you by law, and it depends. It really depends on how many people are employed by the company. But for I think it's 50 or more employees, they're required to provide you with a pumping space that is private, not a bathroom. It actually has to have a fridge and everything in it that you need to be able to pump at work. And they're supposed to be able. They need to provide you with those breaks to be able to do it. So if you're being harassed and you're saying you've already gone to HR, I'm not really sure what you mean by the harassment. Is it the company themselves or is it other employees that are harassing you? You need to realize that this is federal law and that you have certain rights under the law to protect yourself and you have certain rights when it comes to breastfeeding and breastfeeding at work. And in fact, being able to have that space at work is one of those things that you're entitled to. The fact that you can get a breast pump too. We didn't talk about that at all, but you can get a breast pump for free through your insurance. Okay. And that means a no cost pump. Unfortunately, there are insurance companies now that are not covering that service. And there's just been a lot of changes. This all came along with the Affordable Care Act. And so now there's been certain changes in certain states to it where I'm seeing more and more moms that may not be able or eligible to get a breast pump. But for the most part, most women with insurance can go and get a breast pump, no cost breast pump from one of the DMEs or medical provider, durable medical provider equipment providers. And that's actually one of our partners too, is Byram. And we can send, when you go through the pump giveaway here, there'll be a link for that too, to go apply and see if you're eligible for the pump. In fact, if you get the pump through Byram, you actually get my pumping course for free. So that's a nice little, and it doesn't matter which pump you get. Any pump, you'll get the pumping course. So if you use Byram through that link, through me, you'll get the pumping course for free. And if you get the Evenflo pump, you get both the breastfeeding and the pumping course for free. So you get everything you need. The pump, the courses, and really everything you need to be able to succeed with this. So should we talk about the pump? Should we show them the pump and show them why we love it?
Go for it. I'm looking at questions.
So for those of you who know me and Jamie, we've been talking about the Evenflo pump for such a long time. As we said in the beginning, this is the new version. It's lighter, it's quieter. It comes with a 3-year warranty. It comes with my courses. It comes with multiple flange sizes, and it's these soft silicone flanges, which are awesome, super comfortable. And it comes with a closed system and also adjustable speed and suction controls. Those are the things that I look for in a breast pump. And I actually designed this breast pump. So I was part of the design of this. There's features on this, like the fact that it has the slouch-free flanges where you can actually sit straight up and the milk still goes down without backflowing all on you the way all the other breast pumps do. Okay, so these are like these sit-back slouch-free flanges, which are super comfortable. And, that's like the most important thing when it comes to pumping. Knowing how to use your controls and making sure that you're comfortable are the two things that I would say are the things that you want to do when you are pumping. that are going to give you the most milk out, you know? Hey, you know what? Can we show them the three-stage?
I have my pump plugged in.
Let me hear. You can't even
Very
hear
quiet.
it. It's so quiet. It's really awesome. It's really awesome. And the fact that it gets so much power and it works so well by being so quiet is just awesome. Awesome. You could use it as a single pump or a double. But you know, there's also, can I show them the three-stage pumping method?
Yeah, I was just responding to a text I had to deal with really quick. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, well, don't worry about me. I'm just over here talking. I'm going to show you. So I have a video. It's called the three-stage pumping method. It's a way to help you get more milk and know how to use the controls and the dials on your pump. Because I think that was one of the questions that came up, which was like, you know, power pumping and how to get more milk out with power pumping, which is a whole other conversation, which we can talk about as well. But the most important thing is when it comes, so power pumping is a way to kind of trick your body with the pump to cluster feed. Okay, so if you're thinking about cluster feeding with your baby, when your baby is nursing really frequently on and off the breast, earlier I said, the more empty your breast is, the more milk you will make. And that's why cluster feeding works, is if the baby continuously draining the breast and it's not allowing it to fill because you keep emptying it out, it's going to give your brain the signal to make more milk. And you can do the same thing with your pump by putting your pump on, you know, and I see these infographics and people trying to explain how to do power pumping, and everybody's got a different instruction. And the reason for that is because there is no one way to do power pumping. Everybody's got their method, okay? The most important thing is that you're frequently emptying. So maybe you're pumping for 10 minutes and then you're waiting 20 minutes and then you're pumping again for 10 minutes. But what I want to say about it all is that in order to have it really be effective, you've got to get something out. To get draining just a few drops of getting some milk out is going to increase over time. But if you're not able to use your pump effectively, if you can't stimulate a letdown with your pump, power pumping is not going to work for you either. All right. So it's not just about the stimulation of putting it on. You actually have to try to get a little bit out, even if it's a few drops. That will increase with time. But using my three-stage pumping method helps you to get those multiple letdowns and keep getting milk out. So let's show them. And though those videos, I have that available for you too. When you go to click over and enter for the pump, you'll get access to those as well. So, but I'll show it to you here. Let's see here. Here we go. Ready, James?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just looking at questions.
Breastfeeding moms know that pumping takes time and lots of commitment. I have a secret to share that's going to help you get a lot more milk in a lot less time. The first thing you're going to need is a pump that lets you control your speed and suction independently, putting you in control. Start with the pump turned all the way up on speed and low down on suction. This will simulate what the baby does when the baby starts off at the breast to get a milk release or a letdown. Once the milk starts coming out, what you're going to do with your dials is turn your speed down while turning your suction up enough to feel it and not feel pain. Once you see the milk stop flowing, that's when you want to stimulate that second milk release or letdown. This is where it gets good. Turn your speed all the way back up again while leaving your suction exactly where it is. Continue to pump with the speed and the suction turned up until you see the milk releasing or the letdown start one more time. After you see that happen, turn your speed back down and again, repeat. You can stimulate a second, a third, even a fourth release of milk. This is how you maximize the amount that you get out and how you empty the breast as much as possible.
There you go. We haven't watched that in a while. I was like, wow, my hair is so straight. It's so full right now. Especially when I was looking at it side by side. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Do we have time for like one more question? Amy has been around here for a long time because I recognize that name. I have low supply. I've tried all the things in the last few days. My 3.5-month-old is not latching or latching and popping off after a few seconds. Has bottle preference finally caught up with us? We would nurse and then supplement with formula, and he's always nursed well until now. Could he just be done?
It's possible that if you've been bottle feeding and breastfeeding, if remember that the milk's going to come out much faster with the bottle, and so babies can get to a point where they just don't have the patience to wait for a letdown. It's what we were just talking, what I was going over in the video here is how to stimulate a letdown. The milk doesn't just start flowing immediately, so the baby needs to suck for a few seconds, and that stimulates the oxytocin to release, and then that gets the milk to start letting down and flowing. And some babies that are fed bottles can actually develop a preference for them because they're impatient and they don't want to wait for it, so they get mad. And so one of the things you could try doing is doing maybe a little pumping right before the feeding to stimulate the letdown with the pump so that the milk starts to flow immediately as the baby starts to suck. That could be the reason that it's happening. The other thing could be is if you're really supplementing a lot of bottles, you could be having a low milk supply issue. And it's hard for me to know that without evaluating you, obviously. So if you think that it's a supply issue and there's not enough there, then that's what you need to be working on, is working with a lactation consultant to increase your supply back up. I hate to see you give up on breastfeeding. And, sometimes these things can just be simple fixes, but you need the right person to give you the answer. I would say that right now, continue to keep the baby skin to skin, keep on breastfeeding. As long as the baby's giving you wet diapers and poopy diapers, even if they're coming on and off, it could be that they're having a growth spurt and they're hungry. It's hard to know, but I would try to keep the baby at breast as much as possible. If you're going to supplement, working with a lactation consultant, you could always use a supplemental nurser where the baby's getting that extra milk at the breast. You could also cup feed. There's lots of ways to deal with this so that we don't keep giving the baby more and more bottles where they develop an aversion to breastfeed at the breast again. It's really important to do that though, because what is 3 months old?
3.5, yeah.
3.5. So young, so early into this whole process. There's still so much more to go. I would not give up yet at all. I would make an appointment, get a visit with a lactation consultant, speak with somebody who has that specialty, and maybe that you could even do it online with an online visit. At least speak to somebody so they can figure out what's going on for you. It's so important, Jamie. It's like, it's so worth it. The benefits of breastfeeding your baby for yourself and your baby are just so important, and especially right now in what we're living through with viruses and all these other things, it's like the only thing you can really do to protect your child at this point. And so doing everything you can, making it like the number one priority right now is my advice. Anything you can to make sure that you keep going and establishing that with the right help. Are there women who just, no matter what you do, just cannot breastfeed? Absolutely. That happens. And there are medical conditions. There are hormonal issues, PCOS, thyroid issues, insufficient glandular tissue, all kinds of things. But is that the majority of women? It's not. It's about, some people say it's more. The research shows about 5%. of all women may have some kind of issue. And that doesn't mean that you can't breastfeed at all. Even some breastfeeding is better than none and worth maintaining. And so it's just a matter of putting it as a priority and getting the right help.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
No, it's a crazy, like, I mean, when we first met, you know, I worked at a birth education center.
Mm-hmm.
And I took several rounds of breastfeeding classes just because I found it very interesting, you know, and it was so interesting to me. People, before I was working there, like when I was just working in retail, people never, it was never like, oh, you need to go take classes. So working in an educational environment was very, very different because people didn't think about taking breastfeeding classes, or they didn't think about having their partner, if they have one, go with them. Oh, and that's also a huge thing, to have your partner go through the class with you, because they remember things you don't.
Definitely.
You know?
No. My courses are meant to be watched as partners. You know, they're meant to be that way. And actually, you know, dads do really well with my breastfeeding class because they really learn. I'm very like practical. I like to say very practical, logical things that are simple that just make the difference. And I think that with those little bits of knowledge that make all the difference, they're the ones who can like see your latch. They're getting a different view. They're going to remember things that you may not remember. And so having your partner be knowledgeable, or even your mother, like I had a mom sign up for the courses the other day, and her mom also signed up. And I didn't even think about like, this is a great thing for grandmas, because so many of them don't have the information. Maybe they didn't breastfeed themselves, or even if they did, they didn't have the knowledge. Being able to, you know, really support, you know, their daughters or their daughter-in-laws with breastfeeding. This gives them all the knowledge, and including the library. She loved the searchable library, because she's like, oh my God, I could like look up the questions and I can help. I'm like, exactly. You can look up the questions and you can help. So, definitely. You need somebody to support you, whether it's a partner, a friend, a mother, anybody, but somebody. It's hard to do this completely alone. And I see Amy back in the chat here saying she hasn't done an SNS, but she doesn't want to give up. Good for you. Okay, just reach out for a lactation consultant. Come join me in my group and see if there's anything there that I can offer you through the programs that may be able to help you. But an SNS is a better option than just switching over to pumping and bottle feeding at this point. An SNS will give the baby extra milk, even if it's just that little bit for the letdown. You know what I mean? Like, you can actually get milk into the baby's mouth with the first few sucks, and then the baby will go from there. The breast will let down. So that may be a great trick.
No. Awesome. Well, there we go.
Thank you. That was fun. Did you guys learn something?
You. I just like listening.
You do good. Let me tell you, man, you know your breastfeeding stuff after all these years. I'm proud of you. I know you.
It's interesting.
Don't let him fool you. Jamie could answer half the question. I know, because we've done this so many times, that I know he listens and he's got that kind of memory that he retains all of this stuff. And I bet you anything. I think we're going to do that one of these days. We're going to let you answer.
I can't remember phone numbers anymore. We should do one of these where I will try to answer as much as I can.
I'm telling you. No, I bet you could.
You slap me on the wrist and it's like, no, you're wrong.
We're gonna test Jamie's breastfeeding knowledge on the next one. He's gonna do all the questions, and I'm just gonna sit here and listen and take notes.
Well, it's like people, like when I used to do speaking events in person. What an idea! I always kind of led off with like, I worked at a birth education center. I've gone through childbirth classes. I've gone through breastfeeding classes. Like, I was Jennifer's birth doula with my nephew. And I am very well versed.
He is. He totally is.
I have my umbrella. The gear situation is my specialty, but I do have my umbrella of knowledge.
You definitely do. And he's listened to me for so long. I don't know how he can take it, but he's heard me repeat myself a million times here. Oh my goodness. We have to get some of the classic episodes of you and me up and playing some of them because it's just fun. It's just so fun to watch. Jamie, I watched one recently that I hadn't seen in forever because as we were loading everything into the library, we're talking like not just our Q&As from the last like 5 years, but like the last 10 years.
10 years ago.
Like 10 years ago when we were doing the live streams for my store. And there were ones that I didn't even remember we had. And I just sat there cracking up, just watching the two of us and thinking, I think that might have been like the first day we ever met. And it is no different than what you see right now. Like literally, we were just like, I know you from somewhere. We've known each other in a past life. We're definitely,
I mean,
it was obvious.
We met on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Like back in the days when Twitter was done and it was a thing.
Yeah, it was like 2009 on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
What? I can't believe that much time has also passed.
Oh my God, I know. Well, my girls were little when we first started doing this, and now Jade just graduated, so it's definitely been a long time. Anyway, I'd love to play some of those oldies. We're gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do some watch parties. You know what we could do? We could do it inside my group. If you guys join the group, we can do it in there, and we can just sit and have a glass of wine and watch the watch parties together and crack up laughing.
I had glasses of wine last night.
I know you did.
Yep. All right, I gotta go because we are going to the mountains.
Enjoy.
Be good. Have a good weekend, Shari, and everyone here. Have a good weekend. Not that weekends really matter anymore, but try to do something good for yourselves.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're all trying our best.
I know. We are.
Yeah.
All right, Jane, thanks for having me.
Right.
We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out.
All right, everybody. Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.